Hello, in today's meeting, I will be talking about large language models, which is a deep learning concept of which the famous ChatGPT is a variant. Today, I'm going to cover 7 areas. First, the uses of LLMs, followed by history, how they work, how intelligent they are, issues with them, and research directions. So in terms of usage, there's 7 major areas. One is customer experience support, followed by social media, e-commerce and retail, finance, marketing and advertising, cyber law, and healthcare. So for example, with support, customer support, you can understand the sentiment of a feedback. Is the feedback for the product positive or negative? Social media, you can automatically generate posts. E-commerce, you can translate documentation for different areas of the globe. Finance, you can detect fraud and prevention. Marketing, you could do targeted marketing and advertising. Cyber law, so legal research and case analysis. Healthcare, medical diagnosis assistance. And I would like to add 2 different things that I learned from what conferences I attended. The first one is this bank used ChatGPT for its IT department. So for example, certain procedures in the IT have to follow a certain procedure. So for example, how to add a user to the email system. So this requires the following steps. Another example was by GitHub. And what they did is that they incorporated ChatGPT into their IDE. So it helps create functions and explain how functions work. And overall, they've determined that using ChatGPT, the productivity is 2 times faster than not using ChatGPT. So a little bit of statistics regarding jobs of LLM. LLM is not going to be replacing jobs for the most part. Most likely what's going to happen is that it's going to make jobs much faster and easier. But there are some jobs which are kind of on the which may be stopped. They include clerks, which can be easily automated with LLMs. But also LLMs will introduce new types of jobs, specifically AI. So yeah. A bit of history about LLM. ChatGPT 3 was released last November 30th, 2022, and ChatGPT 4 was released March 14, 2023. But actually, it all started in 1967 with Eliza. Eliza was a chatbot for therapy. It was created based on statistics of language. So basically, I tried it before. It was very impressive. But after 5 minutes, you realize that you're speaking to a robot. Anyways, afterwards, deep learning came along, and in 1988, RNN came along, followed by 1997 LSTM, then transformers in 2017, and then that revolutionized everything, and that's where LLM started. So how they work, it's all based on a neural network. A neural network is an architecture that tries to mimic how the brain works. So we have neurons that attaches from one layer to another layer and gives certain importance to different connections. A recurrent neural network, the beauty of it is that it remembers its history. Long short-term memory also remembers its history, but it solves the problems that RNN has. For example, RNN, it's very easy for the neural network to break, either going to 0 or going to infinity. With LSTM, they introduce gates that determine whether or not to remember something from the past. And then we came up with transformer, which is the latest and greatest methodology. What basically it is a self-attention mechanism. So basically, in a sentence, let's say here, the animal didn't cross the street because it was too tired. So it actually is an attention to animal, street, it, period. So that's what a transformer does, is that it takes a sentence and tries to figure out what other areas of the sentence are related to that word. And this was revolutionary because all of a sudden you don't have to remember stuff from the past, saving a lot of memory, and also it can be done in parallel. So key ideas behind transformers as sequence to sequence, so sentences to sentences. It has this self-attention mechanism, plus it does parallelism. And we can see here, once the transformer idea came out, Then GPT came out, and finally ChatGPT. Now, large language models, they are language based. So we have to use the NLP, which stands for natural language processing, which is a field of AI. And basically NLP, the main goal is to translate language into numbers, because that's how computers understand. So traditional techniques include tokenization. So we take a sentence and break it into words. Stemming, whereby we remove extraneous parts of a word but don't erase the meaning. For example, swimming, you can change it to swim by removing ing, and we still have the same idea. Then there's this idea of embedding. So it is, for example, taking a sentence and translating to a vector. Okay, once you have a vector of different things, then what you can do is you can do a cosine similarity between the vectors to figure out which ones have a smaller angle between, so which ones are closer to each other. So LLMs, basically they are the regular self-supervised training, followed by reinforcement learning with human feedback. And what that is that it's a form of reinforcement learning whereby a user tells the machine which answers are to keep and by what value. So it depends on human feedback. The size of the LLM, while ChatGPT 3 is based on GPT 3, it has 175 billion parameters, so that's how many weights there are. There's 96 decoders, so 96 layers, and 2048 token size, so how many words it can be inserted as a question for ChatGPT. So ChatGPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Generative means it generates results. Pre-trained is based on data it has ingested, and Transformer uses the Transformer architecture. So how intelligent is LLM? Well, right now everybody's moving towards AGI, which means artificial general intelligence. So basically, it's the ability for the AI to accomplish any task that humans or animals can perform. We are not there yet, but definitely we're getting there. And as the years progress and new LLMs are produced, we can see we're getting closer and closer to this goal. Also, what they do is that they do standardized tests for LLMs. So, for example, verbal GRE, SAT, LSAT, SAT, advanced placement, GRE, and so on. And they found that ChatGPT scored pretty high percentiles for some of them, and ChatGPT 4 produced even better results, sometimes reaching 99 percentile. Also, a psychologist from Finland did an IQ test, the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Test, WAIS, which had 6 verbal and 5 nonverbal tests. So just to give you an idea, the smartest 10% of the people have 120 IQ, and the smartest 1% have 133 IQ. Now, ChatGPT scored an IQ of 155, which is phenomenal, which means that it's better than 99.9% of the people that take the test. The doctor felt that the ChatGPT was an ideal patient, commendable test-taking attitude, no test anxiety, good concentration, put in good effort. Of course, we could not do the nonverbal tests, but the verbal test is quite comparable, so we're okay. And another psychologist that I read also thought that it was arrogant, know-it-all, show-off, and cocky, because questions that required a one-word answer, he would give a whole paragraph. So this is just a visual idea. For a person with 150 IQ or more, that's less than 0.03% of the population. And here we can see that majority of the people are around 100. So ChatGPT is really smart. However, it is getting dumber. And there's probably 2 reasons. One is that it was trained up to the date of September 2021. So anything beyond that date, ChatGPT does not know. Another thing too is that it is continuously learning. So people that are interacting with it, they're not producing very complicated, intensive things. So this is resulting in ChatGPT becoming dumber, actually. ChatGPT also has a bias. For example, kindergarten teachers, they associate with being women, receptionists being women, mechanics men, construction worker men, and other fields as well. Now you have to realize that this bias is not intentional, it's not malicious. It's just based on the statistics of the data it has ingested. Another issue too is hallucinations. And what this is ChatGPT producing results that look real but are completely fake. So for example, for me, I did a question and I asked it, please give me 5 research articles. And it gave me 5 research citations that looked really, really credible and fit my topic very, very well. But when I did the search, those articles didn't exist at all. So this is a problem that ChatGPT has, hallucinations, and it's an active field of research for researchers trying to mitigate it. Again, just like with bias, there is no maliciousness, there's no intention. These are based on the statistics of what is learned. So the scope of training, the data for ChatGPT is up to September 2021. It used 517 gigabytes of data from books, web text, Wikipedia articles, and other pieces of writing on the internet. And to be exact, it was trained on over 300 billion words. The carbon footprint is also a very interesting way to look at the ChatGPT. It requires 1,024 GPUs, took 34 days, and cost $1.6 million alone. There's also other areas as well. It consumed over 1,000 megawatt hours of electricity and generated 552 tons of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to 123 gasoline-powered passenger vehicles driving for 1 year. There's also slave labor. As you may recall, we discussed about human feedback. So OpenAI actually paid a company, Sama, based in San Francisco, to do employment in Kenya, Uganda, and India, whereby they pay $1.32 to $2 an hour for them to do human feedback. So they were required to do 150 to 250 passages per 9-hour shift. Time found this out and released a study. And after that study happened, OpenAI quit this slave labor because it was very unattractive, very morally reprehensible. So, the slave labor was involved in ChatGPT. Another thing with ChatGPT is that there's privacy problems. Data is collected with no legal basis, no notification. There's a problem of accuracy, effective age verification, parental consent. So, for example, a musician is suing ChatGPT because she says that documents that are being generated by ChatGPT actually take her music lyrics without her consent. There's also scaling laws. Generally in science, whenever we have something new, we always want to know the minimum and maximum. This is no different with LLMs. But generally, they believe that you don't need any more breakthroughs, you just need more scale. And there's also the belief that you don't need lots of data, you just need better data. Another field has actually emerged called prompt engineering, and is actually an employable field. So basically, it's the ability to ask intelligent questions on LLMs. Okay, so there's various techniques: assign a role, styling output, being specific, adding conditions, and providing data. So for example, you can tell the ChatGPT, please explain quantum mechanics to me as if I was a 5-year-old. Or you can say, please write this letter requesting service in a friendly manner. You can also say, provide data. Please summarize the attached document. So other research directions, we have LangChain, which is a language that makes ChatGPT programmable. It's a library. So here you can interact with ChatGPT as if it was a library. Fine-tuning. What happens is that you can take ChatGPT from OpenAI and then retrain it based on your own data. So for example, the Bloomberg, the financial company, they took ChatGPT and they retrained it based on their own data. So that's called fine-tuning. We also have LoRa. So when we fine tune, actually what happens is that we change the weights. But with LoRa, instead of changing the weights, we add a variable that tells us how much the weight changes. And this actually results in more adaptable, more efficient LLM. There's also RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So a user has a question, and instead of this question going directly to the LLM, we interact with an external data source and we get more information. So what happens is that you end up asking a question plus backup information to the LLM. Why is this important? It can eliminate hallucinations. Also, if you have data that has, if the model was trained to, let's say, up to September 2021, and you have data that's 2023, so without training the model, you can actually add it as a question in the RAG for the LLM. It's also has been open source. We have Llama 2 from Facebook, Vicuna, Alpaca, and Falcon. And these are the first open source variants of ChatGPT. Open source is basically they allow the source code to be available for free. So this fosters innovation, lots of innovation. It can save companies a lot of money. And it's a direction that prior to LLMs, software actually went through as well. Another thing too is that we're heading towards multimodal, meaning adding pictures, videos, equations, and making it like go from one direction to another direction. So for example, can I ask LLM, please write a story based on this image, or please based on this script create a movie. So these are the directions that everybody's heading towards. Plagiarism is very important, especially in areas where it is important to be authentic, like school and also work as well. So there are techniques that people are developing to solve plagiarism. One of them involves passing in a very simple question to ChatGPT and comparing the results to your document, because the idea is that that the prompt for the ChatGPT is very simplified, not too much details. Another technique that I saw for ChatGPT is that they would take the document, pass to ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT, did you create this? So I think that gave a good response. I think it was above 50% accuracy. Okay, so now 4 questions. 1. What is ChatGPT's IQ? 155. What is open source, and give 1 example LLM? Source code is available for free. 4 examples include Llama 2, Falcon, Vicuna, and Alpaca. For ChatGPT 3, what is the data quality cutoff date? September 2021. What is reinforcement learning with human feedback? Training the LLM to detect toxicity by rating different responses. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you learned a lot, and please like, subscribe, and share. And then there's lots of good stuff coming. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.